want to keep it a buck, we're going to keep it a buck.
Okay.
My office used to be above Credit One. And
I thought you were a
there
nurse.
no parties. However,
Do you need the officers in this?
the dark, Marcel.
Where's Martha laughing?
They would hang out. Part of the reason even they wanted black was they wanted a place where they could go and hang out.
And do what?
Listen
Carlos.
to music, drink, play
So,
cards.
Kimmy, I'm going to say this to you.
Oh, Carlos.
I can assure you, no man is hanging out after hours listening to Beyonce Renaissance.
No, I don't think they were. I don't think they were.
The news broke in a way no one expected. One minute, everything looked normal. Next, the entire entertainment world was in shock. Phones started buzzing, group chats exploded, and fans rushed to social media searching for answers. How could this happen? How could someone so powerful, so influential, suddenly be pushed out of national television? But what truly stunned people wasn't just the firing itself, it was the emotional reaction that followed.
And I ain't happy about none of it. I'm trying to figure out what the going on anyway. I mean, she had no business goddamn putting her hands on me.
I mean, that's my thing. You gonna act like this in front of your daughter, Sanjay?
Sanjay acting more like the adult. That's the way she's supposed to.
A lot of people that want to keep it a buck, we're going to keep it a buck.
Okay.
My office used to be above Credit One. And
I thought you were a
there
nurse.
no parties. However,
Do you need the officers in
you,
this?
the dark, Marcel.
Where's Martha laughing?
They would hang out. Part of the reason even they wanted black was they wanted a place where they could go and hang out.
And do what?
Listen
Carlos.
to music, drink, play
So,
cards.
Kimmy, I'm going to say this to you.
Oh, Carlos.
Gay man. I can assure you, no man is hanging out after hours listening to Beyonce Renaissance.
No, I don't think they were. I don't think they were.
This man
Because when Carlos King finally spoke, nobody was prepared for what they were about to hear. His voice cracked, his words carried pain, and for the first time, the man known for controlling the drama looked completely broken. And just like that, the story became bigger than television. It became personal. It became real. But here's the twist.
None of it. I'm trying to figure out what the going on anyway. I mean, she had no business goddamn putting her hands on me.
I mean, that's my thing. You gonna act like this in front of your daughter, Sanjay?
Sanjay acting more like the adult. That's the way she's supposed to.
This moment didn't start with the firing. The truth is, this emotional breakdown was building for years. Carlos King was never just another producer. He built his reputation from the ground up, starting as a hardworking young man who dreamed of creating stories that people would never forget. He wasn't born into power. He fought for every opportunity. In the early days, he worked long hours behind the scenes, watching, learning, and studying the psychology of television. He understood something many didn't. Drama wasn't just about fights and arguments. It was about emotion. It was about connection. It was about showing real pain and real struggle in a way that kept viewers coming back.
drops. The word of the day is stop living in the past. The past is in the rearview mirror of your life. If you look at where you want to go, look at the windshield.
Listen, everybody, behind me is Carlos King, okay, a producer of reality TV on the OWN network, and the fans are pissed with him. I mean pissed, okay? They started a petition. They want him removed from his duties over there on Love and Marriage Huntsville. Now, you know what? I'm not one for the cancel culture, and I don't think that toxic reality TV started and nor will it end with Carlos King. But what are your feelings? Do you think that Carlos King should be canceled? Do you think he should be removed from producing Love and Marriage Huntsville? Do you think all the toxic behavior that we see on that show starts, ends, and begins with Carlos King? Let me know your thoughts, everybody. Cancel or not cancel, Carlos?
Over time, his talent became impossible to ignore. He climbed the ranks, gaining trust from networks, building relationships, and eventually creating his own space in the industry. Fans saw him as a mastermind. Executives saw him as a goldmine. His shows brought ratings, attention, and money. But success came with pressure. Expectations grew higher. The spotlight became brighter. And behind that confident smile, there were already cracks forming. People close to him say that Carlos carried the weight of the industry on his shoulders. He felt responsible not only for the shows, but for the cast, the crew, and the reputation he had built. He knew one mistake could destroy everything, so he pushed harder. He demanded more. He sacrificed sleep, relationships, and peace of mind. To the outside world, he looked unstoppable, but inside, he was exhausted. What nobody expected was that the very empire he built would one day turn against him.
Fighting again. Okay, not the girls. So Carlos King, former producer of Real Housewives and now the producer of Love and Marriage franchise on OWN, is slamming the Real Housewives of Dubai, calling them fake.
The tension didn't appear overnight. Rumors had been circulating for months. Whispers in executive offices, private meetings, concerns about the direction of certain projects. Some insiders claimed that networks were becoming nervous. Reality television was changing. Audiences were becoming more sensitive. Conversations about mental health, ethics, and treatment of cast members were becoming louder. Suddenly, the same dramatic style that once made Carlos famous was now being questioned. But here's where things got complicated. Carlos believed he was evolving. He insisted that he had already begun shifting his approach. According to people close to him, he wanted to create deeper stories, more emotional journeys, and less chaos. Yet critics argued the opposite. They claimed that his brand was built on intensity and conflict, and that stepping away from that formula was too late. Then came the moment that would change everything.
One morning, Carlos was called into a private meeting. At first, he thought it was routine, maybe a discussion about upcoming projects or future partnerships. But as soon as he walked into the room, the atmosphere felt different. The smiles were forced, the energy was cold, and within minutes, his world collapsed. He was told the network had decided to move in a different direction. His services were no longer required, effective immediately. For a few seconds, he didn't react. He just stared. He later described that moment as surreal, like watching someone else's life fall apart. He asked questions, he demanded explanations, but the answers were vague. It wasn't about one specific issue, it was about change, brand image, and new leadership. What nobody expected was what happened next. Instead of anger, Carlos felt something deeper: betrayal. He had given years of his life to this network. He had delivered success, loyalty, and innovation, and now he felt discarded. According to insiders, he left the building in silence, avoiding eye contact, holding back tears. But the real emotional explosion came later. That night, Carlos went live on social media. Fans tuned in, expecting a polished statement, a strategic response. Instead, they saw a man sitting alone, eyes red, voice trembling. He didn't start with business. He started with pain. He spoke about loyalty. He spoke about trust. He spoke about feeling used. At one point, he paused for nearly 30 seconds, trying to control his emotions. And then he said something that shook everyone. "I gave them my heart. I gave them my soul. And today, I realized that none of it mattered." The internet reacted instantly. Clips went viral. Supporters flooded his comments. Some called it raw and honest. Others said it was unprofessional. But no one could deny one thing: it was real. But here's the twist. This emotional response triggered an even bigger storm. Suddenly, former cast members, colleagues, and insiders began sharing their experiences. Some defended him, saying he was passionate and misunderstood. Others claimed this moment exposed a pattern of emotional intensity that had always been there. The conversation shifted from his firing to his character. Was Carlos a victim of corporate politics, or was this the consequence of years of high-pressure leadership? The drama escalated when reports surfaced that internal complaints had played a role in the decision. Allegations about workplace stress, demanding environments, and emotional pressure started appearing in media outlets. None were officially confirmed, but the damage was done. Carlos responded again, this time more controlled but still emotional. He admitted that he wasn't perfect. He acknowledged he pushed people hard because he believed in excellence, but he denied ever intending harm. Then he said something that surprised everyone. He apologized, not to the network, not to the executives, but to anyone who felt hurt by his leadership. This moment changed the narrative. Critics softened, supporters grew louder. Even some former cast members spoke up, saying they respected his honesty. But the story didn't end there. Behind the scenes, sources revealed that Carlos was struggling more than anyone knew. The loss of his position wasn't just professional, it was personal. He had tied his identity to his work. Without it, he felt lost. Friends said he withdrew from public life for weeks. He stopped attending events. He avoided interviews. He focused on therapy, reflection, and rebuilding his confidence. What nobody expected was how deeply this affected his family. Carlos later shared that his mother called him the night of the firing and told him something simple but powerful: "You are more than your job." Those words became his turning point. Slowly, he began to reframe the situation. Instead of seeing it as rejection, he started seeing it as redirection. He began writing again. He explored new creative ideas. He reached out to people he had lost contact with during his rise to fame. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to rest, but the emotional impact remained heavy. He spoke openly about anxiety, sleepless nights, and the fear of losing everything he built. He admitted that he questioned his worth. He wondered if his career was over. Fans connected with this vulnerability. Many said they had experienced similar feelings after losing jobs or facing rejection. His story became more than celebrity drama. It became a reflection of real life. But here's where things became even more interesting. Opportunities began appearing. Independent platforms approached him, streaming services expressed interest, producers offered partnerships. Suddenly, the same industry that had closed one door was opening many others. Carlos realized something powerful. He was not fired from his purpose, he was freed from limitations. His emotional response, which many initially criticized, had actually humanized him. It made people see the man behind the brand. Today, his journey continues to inspire conversations about resilience, mental health, and the pressure of success. His firing, once seen as the end, is now viewed as the beginning of a new chapter. And the biggest lesson? Sometimes the moment that breaks you is the moment that reveals who you really are. Because in a world where everyone tries to look strong, Carlos showed something different. He showed pain. He showed growth. He showed change. And maybe that's why his story isn't over. So the real question is, was this downfall actually his greatest comeback? Because if there's one thing we've learned, it's that the most powerful stories don't come from perfection, they come from struggle. And this one, it's only getting started.